బాగుంది. ఇలాంటి గిన్నె ఇంకోటి తెచ్చినా కూడా అయిపోద్ది. ఇంట్లో అమ్మ చేసినట్టు ఉంది, చాలా బాగుంది.
Welcome to the journey of Vishwa Foundation, an organization dedicated to bringing positive change to society every single day. In just 1,176 days since its inception in May 2021, Vishwa Foundation has grown into a beacon of hope and change. Vishwa Talks is an online platform inspiring people to participate in social change by hosting experts who share insights on diverse topics every Saturday.
Namaste. Vishwa is an organization which works towards building the grassroots levels of India. The first step we take towards that is to build an awareness. We work in different causes from education, health, art and culture to 12 other causes. On every Saturday at 11 a.m., we have a talk on these various topics. For example, when it comes to health, India has a rich source of Ayurvedic treatments, alternative medicines like Ayurveda, homeopathy, Siddha, naturopathy. At a time when India is leading in diabetes, heart attacks, cancer, we have preventive medication which can be used. So a lot of talks have come out where people can use household items to prevent some of these or to control some of them. Our grandmothers were a rich source of information. Our parents knew a little lesser than that. And we know a lot lesser than that. And perhaps our children may never get that heritage. Here at Vishwa, we have people who tell us how to use the household items like curry leaves or neem or lemongrass, for what ailments, etc. Similarly, we have talks on art and culture. We would like to have our Indians to be united, be one, be proud of their culture, their heritage. We have a lot of talks where people from various walks of life have come forward and spoken about various buildings, various dance forms, etc. These are two examples I have given. We cover 12 causes like this in our Vishwa Talks. As a first step, we want to bring in awareness among the coming generation. Our audience is across the country and sometimes abroad too. We have a rich interactive session after the talk is given by the expert. It's for any person who watches these talks to decide what they want to believe in, what they don't want to believe in, and if they have any clarifications, they're free to ask questions. After this, we want to build the skills of the people of India. Today, India is on the cusp of moving into one of the top countries of the world. But unfortunately, the skills of our people do not match our aspirations. Here at Vishwa, we started out in a small way. We started with computer training. Fortunately for us, Rotary and some people have donated computers to us. We teach 10th class students, inter students and degree students so that when they go for jobs, they don't get rejected. We teach the basics like Excel, Doc, ChatGPT, how to market. The basics we teach, because most of them cannot afford computers and they have no access to them. And similarly, we have something called celebrations. Celebrations is celebrating your loved ones on their anniversaries, on their birthdays, on their death anniversaries. You can contribute to any of the causes that Vishwa showcases on its platform, vishwa.org. You could, Annadanam for instance. There are a lot of people across the country who, when they go to hospitals, they come up from far-off regions and the little money they have, they keep it aside for the treatment of the patient. They sleep on platforms, they hardly eat anything. And we give them food every afternoon on Fridays and it makes a lot of difference. There are similar such fundraisers. Please feel free to celebrate your loved ones with any of these causes.
Vishwa's commitment towards zero waste and the long way to go in achieving the goal begins with our material donation drive. Conducted twice a year during Diwali and Ugadi in Hyderabad, this drive collects clothes, books, toys and other used or semi-used items for the underprivileged. Contributions from over 615 plus families have benefited around 2,800 individuals, providing essential items and support, bringing hope and dignity to them. Through these efforts, we transform the waste of some into the treasure of others, promoting sustainability and community welfare.
Namaskaram everyone. A very good morning and welcome to Vishwa Talks. My name is Radhika and I thank you all for attending today's Zoom event on Zoom and for those who are watching it on YouTube live. For those of you who have attended a Vishwa Talk before, a warm welcome back. And for our new joiners, here's a bit about us. Vishwa Talks is a program to create awareness among people and to make a positive impact in the society. Here we invite experts to discuss and explore diverse opinions, different perspectives, various issues, problems, and the solutions. Here we cover various fields including art and culture, healthcare, environment, education, and many more. So far, we have over 180 talks. Each webinar is an interactive session with a deeper understanding of the topic at hand. If you miss any part of the session and if you would like to go through the previous sessions, please visit our website or Vishwa Talks YouTube channel. So for today's talk, it's an honor to welcome Dr. Yashoda Thakur, a highly respected dancer, teacher, and a researcher. Dr. Yashoda is well-known performer of Kuchipudi and Devadasi Nrityam. It is a traditional dance form from South India. She comes from Kalavantulu community, a group of hereditary women artists, and has been deeply connected to their dance and music traditions. She trained for 14 years under famous Padma Shri Shobha Naidu and later continued her learning with senior Kalavantulu artists like Anna Bhattula Mangatayaru, who has helped revive and preserve their beautiful art. Dr. Yashoda holds a PhD for her research on how yoga and Indian classical dance are closely connected. She combines both these ancient traditions in her performances and teaching. She currently teaches dance and its history at University of Silicon, Andhra. As chair of Kuchipudi department, she has traveled across the world to Russia, Paris, the USA, and many more. She is sharing her knowledge through her performances, lectures, and workshops. She has written several important books, including Kaivalya, The Joy in Yoga and Dance, and has worked hard to preserve old dance texts and traditions. Her efforts have been recognized with awards such as Ugadi Puraskaram from the Government of Andhra Pradesh and Bangalore Nagaratnamma Award. Dr. Yashoda is not just a dancer, she is a storyteller, a teacher, and a guardian of our rich cultural heritage. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Yashoda Thakur. So, as we dive into today's discussion, I would like to inform the audience that our speaker will be taking the questions from you after the main talk. So, please leave your questions in the chat box or use raise hand tool, and we will allow you to ask your questions in person. This is a notice that today's session will be closing at sharp 12:15. So kindly ask your questions after the main talk and we will reply to the leftover questions via email. So without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Yashoda Thakur as she shares her inspiring journey and valuable insights with us. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Radhika. That was very generous. And I'm very grateful to Vishwa Talks for calling me over again to meet wonderful audience that we have, because I'm very familiar with the general audience that we have for Vishwa Talks. Today being Yoga Day and Music Day, I have brought in quite a few concepts into the talk itself. So when I was going through this with a colleague of mine, she was saying, you're being very ambitious because you're bringing in so many complex concepts together. And I said, but that's how it is, because most of us are told that dance is, it is only for the blessed ones, it's only for the gifted ones, and for the divas, dancers are all divas. So I'm here to break each of those concepts. I'm here to say that all of us together make dancers. I make another dancer, you make me as a dancer. And we in society cannot live in isolation. Similarly, today's talk will also bring in concepts like the body, the intelligence of the body, the importance of the body, which we are told in our culture, Sariramu, don't give too much importance to it. No, please give a lot of importance to the body. Because it is only when you connect, engage, train, and shape the body. By shape the body, I don't mean size zero. I mean making it fit and out there. Does the mind begin to work? And when the mind begins to work, that is when you are in a position to say, okay, I'm done with the body. Now I want to go beyond that. So our first step is to work through the body and to be happy, comfortable in this world as a dancer. So I speak as a dancer. My lens is always dance to understand any concept in the world, including organic chemistry. It's only through dance that I understand. And so that is how I speak to you. And for me, dance is part of society. It is a part of every activity, just about every concept that we go through in life itself. So we'll talk about gender, particularly femininity. We'll talk about the body, yoga particularly, the voice of the person. And so taking home and being proud of the way each individual body moves. We will particularly talk about how the body carries the emotion within itself, even without any words. So, generally, when we have an emotion, we have to say it, or we have to sing it, or we have to express it through different means. But here, Nritta is a concept in dance, N-R-I-T-T-A, and not N-R-I-T-Y, N-R-I-T-T-A, Nritta, talks of just technical dance, the technique of dancing, where we do not have sahitya or literature. So when there is technical dancing, it is the emotion of the dance, of the body itself, and it is the energy of the body itself that comes across. Even the Natya Shastra says Nritta is that technical movement of the dance where the emotion is not rasa bhava vihinat. There is no flavor, there is no emotion, but there is dancing. But all of us dance. Everybody dances, right? Jumping, falling, twirling, rolling, everything is called dancing. In this particular talk, we talk of Nritta as Jai Senapati has looked at it. Now, another concept that I bring in this talk is the concept of hierarchy that has come. Hierarchy between the classical dances, many a time we are told classical, acha, you learn classical dance, is it? So there is a place of pride given in classical dance, as against folk dances or the Desi dances. Folk and Desi are not the same, but the Desi dances are the provincial dances, those connected to one particular area. Now, why we have taken Jai Senapati, particularly Jai Senapati? Jai Senapati, in his very, I have experienced this when I've done the translation and the critical edition of his book. So he has this approach towards every concept where he brings the most esoteric concepts to a simple communication. So God for him is not somebody who's sitting on a pedestal and who's away from life itself. For him, God is that person, and not a concept, that person who is there, we connect with him. And he says, oh, you know what? Shiva himself took a human form because he wanted to perform Nritta, because he wanted to enjoy Nritta, movement of the body. So that's how important the body is. So when he talks about Shiva or Ganapati, or he talks about them like he's talking about his uncles and aunts, or this is what dancers do. This is what dancers are actually meant to do. Today, again, we are turning it around and making it philosophical and distancing it from common man. But the purpose of dance itself has always been to bring in beautiful concepts, respect basic concepts of life, basic love, dislike, hatred, laughter, mercy. These basic emotions of human life need to be given back. First, we value them, we own them, we feel them in the body. Respect the intelligence of the body. Let them come out through the movement itself. And then you go a little above the movement and say, oh, actually, I don't need the movement to communicate. So there is a whole process that we go through while dancing itself. So Jai Singh, I'm not one person who says, let's go to a text for validation of what we are saying, but then Jai Senapati, who has been inspired by so many other authors who were fantastic at that period, the 13th century author of Vitaratnam, during the Kakatiya period, has written this whole text on Nritta. So when he talks of Nritta, the first 4 chapters are from the Natya Shastra, which is like, the go-to point for every dancer. The next 4 talk about the local dances, the indigenous Desi dances. This text is very special because the approach that he takes, his oration or the way he writes, is where the speaker and the audience connect immediately with what he says. So when he talks of the Desi dances, I'll quickly come to this point. When he talks of the Desi dances, he talks of the very complex, very energetic dances and the group dances. In fact, he says Desi dance should be like the woman, like the courtesan, the lady who is experienced in dance, who knows how to deal with the audience, who understands the mood of the audience. So once again, bringing in the purpose of the dancer. So what is the purpose of the dancer? Is it to reach the ultimate? Well, if it is to reach the ultimate, why do you need a stage and an audience for that? If you need a stage and an audience, it means that you have another purpose. And your purpose there is to cater to the audience's progress, the audience's journey. So your job there is connecting with them and taking it forward. So are you in a position to actually lose yourself and talk about yourself? For the dancer, it is not about herself or himself. It is about what have you done for the audience. So Jai Senapati brings that in, and he says, the Desi dance is so beautiful that even the greatest of powers want to become human to be dancing Desi. So he talks a lot about the very complex Desi dances. But today we focus on one small concept where he talks about the Lasya dance. In case you are feeling, oh my God, this is a lot of jargon, and how does it even connect to us? Let me know. Radhika, you read the messages and let me know if they think it's a lot of jargon. But please do understand that my effort here is to remove the jargon and to peel off this kind of sheen that we give dancers and make dancers see dancers as human beings and see dancers as part of your everyday life. That's the only way all of us connect and we are together, right? I see there are messages. I'm sorry, I can't do two things at a time. I can't read the message. Radhika will read them out for me a little later. Okay, now I'll talk about the Lasyangas. What I find beautiful about the authors of that period from the 11th, 12th century onwards is when they talk of the Lasyangas, they talk about the body and they talk about the emotion in the body. So today we have sciences which tell us if you have a back pain, you are having trouble with your loved persons. If you have a neck pain, you have trouble at work. But we've done it before. We've already done it in the dance field. So we don't talk about who's troubling you because of your pain or your stiffness. We talk about how that emotion manifests on the body. Talking about body language. But here, so one thing I have found out with yoga is, it's a little trick that I do. We all know that when you're in a certain emotional state, it manifests on the body in a certain way. And yeah, you move in a certain way, or you kind of do your actions in a certain way. But I've realized that when you do the action mechanically, also it affects the mind. Even the pranayama, when you're tired or when you're angry, your movement, your breath is short and fast, right? And then when you're calm, your breath is calm. In dance, how I use my breath is, if I have to get into a character that is angry and it is not me at that moment I have had my ice cream and I'm quite happy. I don't want to be angry. But I have to be angry at that time. So I use my breath. I go into short, fast breaths so that it changes the state of mind. Because my purpose then is to create that character on stage. Right? It's not about me and my ice cream. It's about what I'm doing for my audience. So here too, I just feel when they are talking about the Lasyanas, and they say Saushtava, you keep your spine straight and you go down. Spine straight is a rule not just for dancers, not just for theater artists. It is for just everybody who is on two legs. Holding the spine straight, making the effort to strengthen the spine and keeping it straight is everybody's prerogative. Now, and then the next thing, he gives 46 Lasyangas, and I'm not going into it. He talks about Rekha. Rekha is where the movement, each movement is in line with the other. So if one hand is moving in a certain way, the other hand should be in line with it, or it has to complement that movement itself. So if the hand is moving up, this hand also has to complement it. Now hold your body and move it in such a way that every part of the body complements the other part of the body. Is it only for dancers? Is it really only for dancers? Why don't you try it in real? Try it and it'll make a lot of difference. Today, the other day, my brother-in-law was coming and he was saying, Bhavi, will you come and give our business entrepreneurs classes in emotion and body? I said, what? Are they going to do some Kuchipudi? At that point, I didn't understand what he was trying to say. But when I was preparing for this talk, I realized what he was trying to say. Because the way you carry yourself, the way you try to move, the way you carry every movement in compliance with the rest of the body makes so much of a difference. Not just, I'm not talking about impressing the client at all. I'm talking about you being happy with yourself. Because once you are happy with yourself, it emanates from you and it comes across. Right? Then there is a very lovely one of the beautiful Lasyangas I like is where he says, Dala. Dala is where the body moves involuntarily as a water droplet. Trishant, if you want to say something, feel free to stop me and say, because I'll have to wear my glasses to read the messages. So, yeah. Okay. If the body moves involuntarily as a water droplet on a lotus leaf, we know this, all of us tell us, but then we are told this, and then it depresses us that we can't do it. We are told that Bhagavad Gita said we should be like the water droplet on a lotus leaf, not attached to anything at all. Is it possible? I'm so attached to my food, first of all, starting the tea in the morning, I'm attached to. So is it even possible to do that? But here he talks about the body moving. The body moving without attachment, meaning without stiffness in the body. The body move, you do your stretches, I will say yoga. You do your simple, do your yoga, stretches, so that the body moves seamlessly as it goes. So even when you are doing this kind of a movement, even if there is effort happening inside, the body has to make an effort, of course. Even to get out of bed, you have to. But the effort it doesn't manifest. It comes and goes. And it doesn't manifest in your mind either. And then you carry it through the day. So it is about how much you are aware of what is happening to your body. And how do you become aware of this? Through the five senses that, people have been saying, Panchendriyalini dati. Why? If you are supposed to negate the five senses, why would you have them at all? Don't negate them. Own them. Own them and make them the doorway to understand your own body, and through your body understand the society around you. Your five senses are your best gifts that the Lord has given. So own them and start through the five senses. You need the ear for music, you need the eyes for dance. And you need the skin to feel all this, the skin which we hardly give any importance to except to make it fair. No, the skin is important because that's the first sense that grasps what is happening around us. Remember the snake? It's the skin, right? So when he talks about Dala, I'm persisting on that Dala. Through the body, the mind. Let's make the body without anchors, and then the mind will move without inhibition. Lali is another one where you have enough dancing, so much dancing. Dancing is, first of all, it's for all of us. Okay, let's all dance. Let's all sing. Let's all dance. And Trikani is one where I have particularly chosen this last year because Trikani says we need to please the audience by using beautiful movements of the head. So the movement of the head is so important in connection with the rhythm. But when will you be in connection with the rhythm? Rhythm exists around us. It's just there in society. Are we aware of it? Are we aware of the rhythm of the namaz that is said, or are we aware of the rhythm in the chant, in the song that is sung, or in the horn of the auto, which feels like cacophony, but then there is a certain rhythm about it. Can we turn that rhythm into music and make this a happy moment for all of us? Another very beautiful concept that Jayana gives is where he says Bhāva. Most of us know Bhāva as emotion, right? But he uses Bhāva for the body. He says, if the dancer who would have executed dance to rhythm and abstract dance. That dancer winds up the nritta in joy, which means after having done all the nritta piece, and then she winds it up in joy, happily. That, he says, is bhava. So when there is that, there are a few videos of mine which you could watch, where the nritta is, all this you will find in the Devadasi dance, in the Kalavanthadu dance, that is, where towards the end there is impromptu movement done. And at the end, to the tabla and violin after dancing, she just finishes it. You then find it in Kathak also. Kathak also being a Tavaif dance. Yeah, so that kind of winding up in joy. That kind of thing, he says, is bhava. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be crying. Yeah, there is a lot of emotion. So, Nijapanam, he says, is where the movement is done. The eyes and the body follow the movement. Movement is done. So it is not, let me give you an example. So if the movement is done as a circle, there are different ways of doing it. So you turn as a circle, you look and you turn, you smile and you turn. Let me get up and do this. You must tell me if you can't hear. So if I'm taking the movement as a circle, and I have to turn, this is one way I can turn. Another way I can turn is looking at my hands and turn. Another way I turn is looking forward and turn. Another way I can turn is looking at you and turning so that I connect. I look at you and I turn. So take a bend, connect with you and turn. So this kind of emotion, this kind of connectivity of the body, this is called compulsive dancing syndrome. So everything has to be through dance. So this kind of having to connect with the audience or connecting through the dance itself, he says, is Nijapan. Now there is another, there's a delight. We talk about delight. This is very beautiful. It's a beautiful state where her heart is sentient, full of emotion. She has slowed down due to love sport and relaxes the Saushtama while the limbs droop. So there is a lot of Shringara, a lot of happiness, pleasantness, love also done. And then she relaxes. The limbs fall. So this, he says, is Dindal. All this is something he has documented. He has not found out anything. So that kind of energy that is settling down, and with awareness, he says, is Dindal. Why am I talking about all this? When I said that there is also the other part where we dance, we get lost. There is, suppose I'm doing a song called Swagatam Krishna, and there is Krishna. I'm one big time Krishna fan. And for me, Krishna is not God Krishna, but Krishna is the person I connect with. So this, I completely lost after that. And then I can be questioned saying, but you were lost. Wasn't it about you? Where did the audience come? Yeah. It's a valid question. So I'm presuming that through the 20-minute song that I have danced, the audience has traveled with me. The audience has journeyed with me, and along with me, the audience also is lost at that point. If I have not achieved that, fortunately for us, there is there are a few prescriptions for the audience also. There are a few qualifications for the audience also. You need to do your homework and come. You can't come to the auditorium because you want to show your face, and this is a big thing these days, right? ये 5 मिनट जाके जाएंगे घर पे, ऑफिस से जाते जाते 5 मिनट जाते जाते, that doesn't work. Then that's not considered spectator. So you have to commit yourself and go to the performance for the performance. Sure, go for the performer also. The performers are related, but then please go for the performance. Do your homework and come. Qualify yourself to be an audience. So when I say qualify yourself, I don't mean take the Natya Shastra and pour over it. Do your dancing, no, nothing. We don't need all that. We as dancers just need an audience with an open mind, with a calm mind, coming to receive what we are telling them. And then we are here to tell you everything, to share with you, to create this kind of an ambience in the evening, so that all of us carry this joy for the rest of our lives. So it is about you as audience and we as dancers, and we also as audience when we go for other performances, working on ourselves and being out there to create this ambience in society in a day and age of war. You may feel, oh, the countries are dying there, and this woman is talking about beautiful dancing. But then beautiful dancing and singing is what keeps the mental state alive. It will not do so if you remove dance from society and make it a diva activity and make all dancers divas. No. Make all dancers human. Make all artists part of society. And they are there for you as audience. They are there to create that kind of an atmosphere for you. So let's bring society and dance together. Let's talk about, when I spoke about femininity, all these Lasyangas that Jai Senapati has come, are the feminine movements that he has given. I'm not saying female, I'm saying feminine movements that he has given. Use the body for this. Use the body to be aware of your emotions. And let us all together commit ourselves to creating this joy so that the state of mind changes and we aspire for better than nuclear wars. I'm open for questions.
That was a really, really beautiful talk, ma'am. Like you said, that audience travel with the artist. I think all the audiences who have joined today have traveled with you through this talk.
Thank you so much. Now I wear my glasses. Thank you, Radhika.
So I request Mr. Trishant to take on the Q&A.
Thank you, Radhika.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you so
before
much for
we
your...
start,
Yeah,
yeah.
please. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Before we move on to Q&A, we have a short poll for the audience. Please take 2 minutes to answer the poll. Yeah, over to you, Trishant.
While you're filling the poll, I'd like to thank all of the participants who are with us today. Thank you for making this webinar a huge success. Also, thank you so much for your time and presence, ma'am. It means a lot to us, and you made the webinar super interactive with the demonstration that you showed us. And while you were saying that art is, dance is also for an artist, it's like a connection to the divine. Somewhere I feel many of the artists allow the audiences to connect with the divine through them. So yes. it was I really felt that when you were trying to explain us things, and thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Trishant. Dr. Bhadra, I'm privileged that you are here. I'm a huge fan of Kuriatam. Next life is for Kuriatam.
I see a whole lot of performing artists who have joined in today. and have graced us with their presence. And I'll just unmute the first person right after the poll questions are done. So I request all of the participants to quickly answer the poll so that we can move on to the Q&A. And we'll be closing this session by 12:15 tops. So we'll answer all of your questions. In case any questions are left out, we're going to answer them through the mail. Okay, so the questions we asked in the poll were, how familiar are you with the Nritta Ratnavali? And about 19%, so 9 out of 50 people, 18% have never heard of it. About 78% and 79% have heard of it but not read about it. And about 4% people have studied it in detail. That's about 2 people. So
you don't have to. Like if you give me a book on Java, I cannot get through even the introduction part. So don't worry about it. And if you have not heard about Nritta Ratnavali, it's the fault of us who have taken that field and we have not brought it out so much to you. One of the reasons I have introduced Nritta Ratnavali into this talk is to make you familiar with it. So if you have become familiar with it, you are there. The purpose is set. And there's a question saying, do you have to read the whole thing? And now you can read the whole thing. I've done a critical edition. It is available at IGNC TV. But it is such a technical text that it is nice for you to read it while somebody is dancing it also. So maybe we should have a workshop where the text is there and the dancing is there, and then we talk about it and we connect it. See, the problem comes when you don't connect it to real life. The problem comes when you talk about it like it's a dancer's thing. No, it's a human thing. Yeah.
the second poll questions also allows us to gauge our audiences a little bit. So what aspect of Indian classical dance interests you the most was the question. And the first technical precision Nritta is 13% people have opted for that option. About 65% have selected Abhinaya, which is expressive storytelling, and about 22% have selected cultural history and philosophy. So that tells us a lot that the expressive storytelling part does connect with the audiences a lot.
Yes. So can I respond to that?
Please.
Yeah, Anusha is asking me a sticky question. I'll first reply to that. Anusha, Nritta Ratnavali, Sangeeta Ratnakara, and other texts, when they talk about Perini Natyam, the description of the Perini Natyam that is in the text is a little different from what is performed today. It is more a Hasya Rasa Pradhana. There is more of, it's meant for comedy in the text. But what is done today is more of a Veera Rasa Pradhana. But maybe you should go to the makers of Perini Natyam and ask them what made them create what they did. I'm sure they did that. Yeah. Now, coming to this Abhinaya part, this is something I must tell all the audiences. That, okay, I'll give you an example. I learned the Devadasi Nritya. I learned the Kalavantula dance. Kalavantulu are the Devadasis of coastal Andhra. That's what they're called differently in different areas. And in Andhra, coastal Andhra, they're called Kalavantulu. I come from those families. So the Kalavantulu are known for their Abhinaya. Abhinaya is their forte. In fact, Mezwani Abhinaya is what the elders here would know about. But when I started learning this from my guru, Annabhadra Bhagatai, for a few years, she made me do a grueling Nritta practice. Grueling is not the word. You sit, you stand, you sit, jump, take a circle in air, sit, stand, jump, take a circle. This has to be done 40 times. And I was already 40 by then, by the way. But she didn't care. You have to do the whole grueling Nritta practice. And after the Nritta, she'll say, Kuchan Abhinayam Pattu. Sit down and we do Abhinaya. And I'm like, if he had to do Abhinaya, why did I do that? I could have sat and done Abhinaya. And she said, no, Abhinaya will not flow through the body then. Abhinaya has to come through the body even without moving it. Yeah, without having to, just the stance also has to, the Abhinaya has to be created. And that will happen only when the body is completely fit and warm. Then otherwise, your Abhinaya will only be neck level. It will only be face. Yeah, like most of the time you do see, you think it is Abhinaya, it is not a, it is expression. So let me give you an example. The heroine is telling the friend, Krishna has sent this friend saying, I'm sorry, please ask her to come. And this lady is done and dusted with him. So she says, what? He sent you. I'm not a great singer, but please do it. He sent you as a messenger. Tell him I'm not. So, Rayabara Mampinada, Ranu, Ranu, Rano, and we go tell him that have not come. So, it was, if I have to do it with hastas, Rayabara Mampinada, Ranu, Ranu, Yanumi, all these are the hastas. Okay? But when I do all these hastas, my Devdasi Guru will, she'll just look at me and say, are you doing exercise? Enduku Sam enduku chestunnam? Samu is exercise. So she'll say, Sam enduku chestunnam? So I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to be able to communicate all that through the body itself. So I'm hoping you can see a little bit of it. So even the shift of the body, Rano Yanumi, Rano Yanumi. You see the difference? So through the body, that Abhinaya that you like so much has to have so much physical exercise and riksha that goes into it for you to appreciate it. Yeah?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And I'm
Really
glad
nice.
somebody said cultural history. I'm so happy because somehow Indian dances, particularly classical dances, they're all like commercial cinema, if I can say, where there is no, you don't think as to what is the source, what is happening. My husband will say, listen, don't tell him to listen to this. But you know, what is the source? What is the history you're carrying when you're going to the dancing? Nobody thinks about. I'm so glad it's changing. Like I saw that. Oh.
Now I'm going to unmute a participant to allow them to ask a question.
Will you read the messages for me later?
Yes, for sure. I'll bring them up one by one.
Because they're going too fast and I'm not able
No, don't worry. I'll bring them up one by one. In case we miss any, we'll reply to them eventually.
Sure.
Hello, sir. Could you please ask your question?
Namaskar, ma'am. You stated that we can travel the audience to a plane where the performer and the audience are left. We do this in dance, such you stated that. But how could we incorporate this into theater while performing on stage? Because what I do every time is remind me every day that I should do abhinay as I'm living it, and while performing on stage I should live it. So I need more points that I can incorporate into my theater art, traveling the audience into a momentary play.
So I don't want to sound like a Babaji or something, but I tell you what I know from my experience itself. So, there is this rasa theory that Rati Shastra talks about, where they say you have to get out of yourself and get into the character and be the character, which I'm not very convinced by. Yeah, but for theater, it does. I don't know your name, but I just want to say that the first step for us is to accept that we have all characters within us. The biggest problem with us human beings is culturally we are told that we don't have the prostitute within us. We don't have Ravana within us. We don't have Kamsa. We are all very. We don't have Kamsa. We don't have transgenders with us. No, this is wrong because we have all characters within us. It's just that few are dormant and few are active. It is about being aware of those characters, just connecting with that character, empathizing with the character in society. That is why I say dance and theater is a society. So you empathize, connect with that character without judging. First step is to drop judgment. Stop judging anything. Connect with them, be a part of that character. You will find that that character is also that margin is also there within you. You are also feeling. And then when you begin to accept that character within yourself and you start expressing it, it will change you as a person. Believe me, whether you become Amitabh Bachchan or not, I can't say. But as a person, it will change you and it will make you a part of society. It will make you so happy because there is no more judgment. You will understand that all of us have breathed the same ground. So the trick is to connect with every creamy eater, accept every person without judgment. That will work. I know it.
Thank you so much.
Can't hear you.
Apologies. I'm just gonna unmute Mr. Shmuel next. Hello, sir.
Namaskar.
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. A very interesting presentation. And I want to ask you a question. What impacts of tracing Bhāva on social and mental well-being?
The impact of power, right, sir? Is that what you said? This is a concept that's so close to me. So yes, there is the impact of power. This whole talk is a product of an awareness of the impact of power and patriarchy particularly. Patriarchy on the man and patriarchy on women's bodies, which is even more dangerous. So when you have this kind of dancing also, even the expectation of dancer, first of all, this dichotomy between Marga and this, the textual dance, the classical dance and the non-classical dance. This hierarchy between the two is a product of power. So yes, we have the non-classical dancers who struggle for respectability, quote unquote. They struggle for identity, acknowledgement. And then this power has also caused their art to be transferred into classical dance, and then you negate them. You render them as non-existent. This is the saddest thing that has happened, and the Devdasi art is one big example of that. Power of the Guru over the Sishya. There are hundreds of stories I could tell where students have given up dancing because they can't keep up with the expectations. Power of organizers over dancers. Yet another story. So the reason I have taken power of language, power of Sanskrit over indigenous dances. That's it. In fact, the reason I have taken Ritaratnavali is because he talks of the indigenous dances in Sanskrit language. But he doesn't completely succeed because all the Desi Lasyangas had to be spoken in the Desi language. He could not Sanskritize them, and he had no intention of Sanskritizing. That's the beauty about these texts of that period, the 10th to the 14th century. The beauty about those texts is that they use Sanskrit, talk about indigenous dances, and yet keep the Prakrit or the indigenous terms in place. The influence of power, sadly, is just prevalent even today and getting worse.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bro, you're on mute.
Muted, Trishna.
You, Trishant.
Thank you, Shmuel. Thank you, ma'am. I'm gonna bring up a question by Miss Archana. Ma'am, can you give us some tips to improve on Lasya while coexisting with Shringara?
Oh yeah, first of all, Archana, you want to come on camera? First of all, Archana, this huge stigma that we have against Shringara, throw it out of the way. Just take it and throw it out. Because Shringara love, bodily love, mental love is so important for humankind, for any creature, first of all. And Shringara is where all other emotions come. From there coming all other emotions. So the first step for you, Archana, get in touch with me after you have conquered this first step. First step is to uninhibitedly accept that you are a person who loves, who has desire. Yeah. So I'm not saying you have, how shall I say this? You have to wear revealing clothes and that is being bold. No, if you want to please wear, that and Shringara have nothing to do with each other. Shringara is, and I don't wear Western clothes, not because I don't like them, but because I can't take anything that sticks to the body. So I can't wear those jeans. That's the only reason I don't wear Western clothes. But I am the most radical Shringara Abhinaya artist you can see. Because there are songs where the artist is saying, one round of lovemaking and you're tired. What kind of lovemaking is this, Krishna? ఒకసారికే ఇలాగైతే ఇదేంటి రచన? What kind of lovemaking is this? The world says you're a big romantic hero and this is all you are capable of, is what she says. So I do those songs also. First of all, be radical. Accept yourself. And let that manifest in the body. So if you have to do, or if you have to do this, do it. Let not your culturing, prawn culturing, fish culturing. Let not that culturing make you do just such. If you have to do this, do it. Let the body bring it. And then it will come down. Give it more, and then the body will tell you, okay, this much. My body wants to do this much. Yeah?
Thank you, ma'am. I'm just gonna unmute Miss Pratisha. I've prompted you to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Trishant. And ma'am, Yashoda ma'am, if you remember that I'm from Kolkata, I have done a workshop with you.
Yes, Vidisha. How are you?
I'm fine.
So good to see you.
Yeah, so I'm from a theater background, and I have two questions. Like, what is the relation between an artist with the revolution? And my second question is, what is romance? Like, how to express romance in your perspective? Like, this is not, I'm not asking about Shringara. I'm
Yeah,
asking something very different from Shringara.
yeah, I completely.
Yeah.
The first one is, what is the connection between theater and revolution, right?
No, no. In your perspective, what is the relation between an artist with the revolution of maybe their own mind and personality?
Um, embrace it. Embrace it, because art, theater, particularly, not so much dance, theater is one expression of rebellion. It is an expression of dissent. So embrace it and do it. You have more freedom in theater than dance does. So whatever is your stand, put it out there. People who connect with it will receive it. Those who don't will not. They have a right to reject it. You should give them that right. Right? And did I answer that question? And
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to know your perspective, like how I know how theater can express it, and I would like having some inputs how one dance practitioner can do that. I mean, what?
I'm doing it my way. First of all, dance practitioner should do the homework. Find out where the dance comes from. Who were the people who went into the making of the dance? What is the history of those who have made this dance? For example, Tyagaraja Kirtans. All of us dance, even I dance. Tyagaraja is a saint poet from down south. So everybody dances. He is a singer. But he at one point had said, my songs are not for dancers, they are for singers. He didn't say it like this, but mainly what he said was, so his period was the colonial period. That was the time when cleansing was happening. Antiseptic, Dettol, and the country was being cleaned up. Women should not be seen. Women should only study till the 8th grade of school. So, and neoclassical dances were coming. All the indigenous dances were being suppressed. Neoclassical dances were coming to dance for stotrams, slokas, not Sringara. So at that time it was happening. Now, so he also wrote not for dancers, but he wrote bhakti. He wrote only for Atma Parma. But for me, my Atma and Paramatma are already together very much within me. I don't have to do it. So already my rebellion is done there. They're completely within myself. And if I have the desire to show something, I will do it. And my taking up the Devdasi form and dancing it itself is a big rebellion. And I know what I feel, what I face because of it. Yeah. How do you show romance? Now depends on the age and what romance you are showing. You know, the Kshetriya Padams or the songs that the Devdasis did are so beautiful. You have the younger one saying, my goodness, very only when we grow up. I only saw you and I fell in love. I could feel my breasts grow only after seeing. So we should marry me. This is her thing. Then there is the grown-up one where who will pick flowers and she will drop the flowers or and as if it's a mistake. That is her romance. Yeah. And there is another one who will make it a point to walk the other side when he's walking this way and bump into him by mistake. So different ways and depends on the situation.
Thank you, ma'am. You have been a wonderful teacher.
Thank you, Rishi. Good teachers are made by good students.
Thank you, Vidisha ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for answering that. I'm just going to move on to the next question. The Okay, just before I move on to the next question, I'd quickly like to officially close the session. We have 15 more minutes for Q&As. I'm just going to mention details of the upcoming talk that's happening next week. It's by Dr. Chaitanya Sridhar. She's the founder of All About Nature of Elephants, AANE. And she's written a wonderful book on elephant rights and conservation and about elephants itself. So the title of the talk next week is Elephant Wings to Freedom, Mother Nature's Dream. It's on 28th June, Saturday from 11 a.m. onwards. And I hope people who are into ecology, environment, or who have a strong connection to ecology and environment, to animals, wildlife, plants, trees, should attend this talk. It will tell us about a lot that's happening also in the south. Also how the corridors are getting affected for elephant movement. I hope to see you all next week for that. With that, Rakesh, you can stop sharing your screen. Thank you so much. We'll move on with the Q&A. I'm going to bring up a question by Mr. Shiv Kumar. Mr. Shiv Kumar wants to know more about the connection between ancient visual arts and traditional dance.
So, visual arts, I will talk about sculpture, sir. So, there are people who believe that the sculpture, particularly Odissi, okay, there are people who believe that the sculpture on temples are an inspiration from the Devadas. But the Stapatis or the architects don't agree with it. They don't say it is connected with the dancing of the temples. And I agree with them because in the temple, what the dancer did not have, it was not particularly sensual. When it was connected to the ritual, the ritualistic dance was very formal and minimal dance it's just that her presence was necessary. The female body and that body was necessary to harness the energies of the universe and pass them on to the God, to the deity. So that was her, the purpose of her existence. So when it comes to sculpture, but then coming later to the neoclassical dance of Odissi, the Odissi that we see now is not the same as the Mahari dance, that of the Devas. The Odissi that we see now has been framed and has been curated based on the sculptures. So we cannot connect the two. And I don't connect the dance, the Devdasi and the sculpture. Paintings, Rajasthani paintings, yes, they're all Mughal-inspired paintings, so they are inspired by Kathak. No doubt about it. And yeah, painting, it depends on what paint and at what time. It also depends historically. So when we go, like I said, with Odissi, the older sculptures were not connected with the Devdasi, but the later dance is connected to the sculpture. So it's not as if the sculpture is made on the dance. Even today, I myself, when I go to Hampi and I see a particular pose, I see that pose and I say, I can use this in Kuchipudi. So am I contributing to the sculpture or has the sculpture contributed to the dance? So now I think it's moved from the sculpture to the plastic dances.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the next one. There's a question by Mr. Hari Krishnan. Ma'am, how Nritta and Abhinaya connects our mind spiritually to connect ourselves with the universe?
Now, exactly what I didn't want to do in the talk, but then it depends on what you call spirituality, sir, Mr. Hari Krishnan. For me, how shall I put this? This is very, very raw way of saying it. So when we do these songs, when I am dancing a Kshetriya Padam, there are different songs that I danced. There is Swagatam Krishna, Saranagam Krishna, where we say, I surrender to you, Krishna. And in the choreography, my teacher has put it up very beautifully, talking of his leelas, and in the end, she surrenders to him. Then there is also the Kshetriya Padam, where she says, listen, Krishna, it's been so long since you came. Now you have come. Now come, be with you. I want to be one with you. For me, both are spiritual and both give me the joy. So, and both, I feel the joy in the body. If I didn't have this body, how would I feel? Yeah, so I don't need to go to bed because they say there's no body. So this body is so important. Through this body, that joy, that moment, what we call climax. Climax happens to me when I'm dancing these, when I feel that feeling sits in every cell of the body. I feel that is spiritual. That joy is spiritual. So it doesn't have to be drama only. It can be Rama also. It can be just anything. So how does Abhinaya and dance feed you to spirituality? By delving into it and letting the body soak that emotion completely. Even if it is Kamsa that you are portraying. Become that Kamsa completely and bring it to peace.
Very well answered. Thank you so much. Okay, a question by Geeta ma'am. How is Vilasini Natyam different from this?
So Vilasini Natyam is a dance form that's been named by Mrs. Swapna Sundari and Shri Andhra, it is said. Vilasini Natyam is also based on the Kalavandri dance. It also has, she has done extensive research, Mrs. Swapna Sundari, and she has brought in those songs and she named it Vilasini. The Devdasis themselves don't call it anything. They don't say this. In fact, they call it Bharatanatyam. So Bharatanatyam being called Bharatanatyam only by Rukmini Devi Arindam is not true. It was called Bharatanatyam, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Coastal Andhra, everywhere earlier. It's just that it's been taken as a dance form by Rukmini Devi Arindam in Madras Music Academy later. Now, that's one thing. Vilasini Natyam is something, it's a more recent nomenclature. The Devadasis themselves don't call it that, but that's a name that Swapnaka has, I have learned it. That's a name that she has given to the form that she has framed, which is majorly based on what the Devadasis do, the Kadavat. Yeah, it is not different. It's just that when I dance it, I go into the social, political history, the power, caste, class politics of it, the gender politics of it, and I see the repertoire as a reflection of all of the society that they lived in, as a reflection of gender politics, and through that I understand the politics of all other dance forms and society. It is not just a dance form for me, whereas Vilasini Natyam, as I see it, is a dance form. Very beautiful, well-structured, framed dance.
Okay. I have a question by Ms. Aishwarya. Namaskaram. Thank you so much for sharing your understanding and analysis with us. What is the criteria for classifying dances as Margi and Desi? I'm curious because I understand classical or Margi forms are also influenced by regional and cultural practices. I'm sorry if I misspelled anything.
Oh no, that was perfect. You are absolutely right. That's what I said, right? When all indigenous regional practices contribute to what is today floated as the industry products of classical dances. And then we forget about what created the, the dance forms. That is a huge problem. By doing that, we are rendering so many indigenous art forms and artists invisible, and their livelihood takes a hit. So many cultures take a hit. So many activities like singing during Simantam, when the lady is pregnant, all those practices go away. Anyway, what is the criteria? Okay, now Sangeet Natak Academy is an organization that's in Delhi. Sangeet Natak Academy at that time had recognized a few dance forms as major dance forms. Now they say traditional dance art forms. But for a very long time, it was commonly understood that they were classical dance forms. And this was recognized on the basis of, and Kapila Vatsayana writes about it. It's not my own analysis. Kapila Vatsayana writes about it saying that when the Natya Shastra, elements of Natya Shastra are seen in a dance form, they will be recognized as classical dance forms. Okay, so in this frenzy for classical status, a few regional dance forms have imbibed a few of the Natya Shastra movements and said, hey, we also have Natya Shastra, so give us a classical status. So you have to appreciate Karnataka for that, because Yakshagana dancers said, we don't want the classical status. We don't want it because then you will ask us to sing in a particular way, you will ask us to use a few hastas. We don't want to do all that. Even if you're not giving us money, we don't want it. So,
Thank you for that reply. I come from families that do kolas, bhuta kolas. And thank you for that. Okay, there's a question by Miss Pooja. For me as a beginner, how to be sure of which classical dance form will help me express my inner self? I have started to develop interest in Kathak, but then I also feel inclined to Bharatanatyam.
Nana, both of them the technique is completely different. Bharatanatyam, you go towards gravity and you bend, right? And Kathak, you just stand straight. So you have to choose one. At least for 10 years, don't do it. One form. Kathak is a beautiful dance. Do Kathak. And do Kathak in the very old times. Lucknow, Pune, Bengal still have the Baijis and the Dabais. So after you learn for a while, go to them. After you learn, 5-6 years, you learn your technical Kathak, and then go to them. They'll teach you life.
Thank you. The next question is from Mr. Pusalapudi Suresh Krishna. Namaskaram, ma'am. Give some info about Sanchari Bhavas and when it implements in performance.
So Sanchari Bhavas, I know we have a whole list of 33 Sanchari Bhavas, but these Sanchari Bhavas are like catalysts, right? They come and they go. It's like you are doing a very intense Karuna Rasa, very intense. Okay, there is this scene where Kichaka has, all these, by the way, are more in the theatre, which we dancers have appropriated, but that's okay. And we've appropriated them into your classical dances. But there is Draupadi who's being molested by Kichaka, and she runs from him. She runs into the court, and she asks the king, your brother-in-law is molesting me. I have no safety. Protect me. And then the king can't do anything because he has no power. Then Yudhishthira stands up in his disguise and he says, stop the drama and go to your chamber. So in all her anger and sorrow, first of all, she's She's crying. She's scared. She's angry that they're not doing anything about it. She looks at Yudhishthira and she says, "What? Drama?" And she goes away. She just does that. And so here at this point, it has not turned into Hasya Rasa. It is still Karuna Rasa. It is still Karuna. And she just, what? And she goes away. So this thing which is coming and going to strengthen the Karuna Rasa, this Karuna becomes a bit stronger by that little smile that she has given. So this Sanchari has to come naturally. And this natural thing will come when the character becomes you. When will the character become you? It will not become you by practice, it will not become you just by observation, but if you are willing to understand that you have that character. That character is there to you. Embrace it, manifest it for that.
Ma'am, I think you have to also head for another function, and I have two more questions. One is from Mr. Ricardo, he's from Mexico, and another one is from Anuradha ma'am, Anuradha Jain ma'am. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send them, say your
I can
email.
quickly answer them.
Sure. Okay.
Isha,
I'm
if
going to
you can
quickly
write them.
ask the questions right away then.
Yeah.
So, Ricardo asks, as a Kuchipudi student from Mexico, I come from a very different cultural background, and this often makes me feel like an outsider to the world of Abhinaya. I wonder how someone like me can approach or come closer to good expression in Abhinaya without merely imitating. How can a foreign student work towards something that feels authentic, even when the cultural references and the emotional codes are not their own?
Ricardo, we know each other, don't we? Do we know each other too? Don't we know each
Yes,
other?
we do, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, Ricardo, first of all, you're a beautiful dancer. I've seen your pictures also. Okay. Second thing is, don't westernize yourself, get into the Mexican culture, the food, the Mexican food, the Mexican culture, those indigenous cultures like my neighbors here about the says. You won't get that expression unless you come to my village, sit here and eat that curd rice that I give you. You have to eat that curd rice. I've turned vegetarian when I was 18, but she's a non-vegetarian. So she says, no, you have to eat this chicken for you to get that curd rice. To get that expression. So by food, I don't mean just food literally. I just mean, Ricardo, first of all, emotions are the same across the world. Whether it is Mexico or America, they're all the same. And when we are doing Kshetra, see that's what happens when you deify the characters. You make them human. Then you connect with them at human level. And your expression will be as you would react to them. Right? So why do you think rolling the eyes is such a Western? But if you can set up the whole expression as a Western dance, dancing is emotions. What's wrong about doing the rolling eyes? But again, if you are going to do, and then again suddenly in between you're going to roll the eyes, then for the audience it becomes jarring. Yeah, you take a stand and you do the same pada, the human emotions, without inhibition, accepting yourself as you are. And then you bring that emotion up. Come home, Vikram. Let's do this. I live in Hyderabad. Come home and we work on just one padam. And from there you can take it forward.
Thank you very
This
much,
is
ma'am.
something I can't tell you this
Yes,
morning.
yes, I totally understand. Thank you very much for your insight.
Thank you, Ricardo. I'm just going to ask the last question from. We'll still keep getting more, so I'll get the rest answered later. But then this one from. Just a moment. From Anuradha Venkatraman, ma'am. Thank you, madam. Though not directly connected with the topic, does the authorship of who has written the Padam and Javali create a difference on how you approach it? You've already answered yes. And the follow-up question is, I want to know more about this one. It is in respect to a particular Padam I read attributed to Kshetraya. I feel the agency shift is so much if a man wrote it versus a woman.
So this is a very interesting question, Anuradha. Harshita Kamath writes an article about this, where she says, she in fact believes it, that the character of Kshetriya existed. She says all these songs are written by women. They could be housewives, they could be just unmarried, they could be devdasis, they could be housewives, they could be sex workers, they could be just any woman. Because the feelings, the desire, the feelings are so feminine. And then they're written so brilliantly that they had to be published. Now, for these women to have it published, who publishes it? So they created a man called Kshetra. But that was not enough. The man had to be spiritual. He had to be divine. So then they said, okay, Atma Param. He is the Jivatma writing for Paramatma Krishna. And then every song will have Navagopa. Whether it is Kshetriya, it will have Navagopa. And it is attributed to Kshetriya, then in fact everything gets published. We are all dancing it. Talking of power. Yeah. No, no, no. You muted, Drisha. You're on mute.
My system was hung. Sorry, just a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. Would you like to say something? You were saying something before I
I
started.
was just saying, you are unwell, and just for the audience, Trisha wanted to skip today's talk, but we didn't let him do it. Radhika and I roped him back and made him sit here. Thank you for being here, Trisha.
Oh, it's absolutely all right. I love
Also.
I love being around artists, and I love creating awareness about every form of art that's there in India. So it's a privilege to have you, man, and it's an honor. And thank you so much for your time and patience in answering each and every one of those questions, even though you have another function to attend immediately. So we're gonna pop up a breakout room link to you on your screen. You can quickly join up the link. I'd like to thank all of the participants who have attended the talk. For all the questions that we've missed in the chat box, we're gonna collect them up. We're gonna write them to ma'am. We're gonna get them replied within the next week, and we'll send back the replies to you to your registered email IDs. And yes, with that, we close this talk for today, and I'll see you again next week at 11 a.m. on a different topic. Thank you so much for being here. See you next week again. And also, for anybody who's missed the talk today or has missed bit of the talk, I'm just going to post a link in the chat box. This is the YouTube video link, and you can just share it with anybody who might find this talk useful. And also, you can look out for the missed part of the session. Thank you so much. See you again next week.